million Ghana cedis on motor vehicle maintenance and its running in the year 2022 alone. In fact, this represents 114% increase over the previous year's expenditure on the same line item. Similarly, foreign and domestic travels of the Bank of Ghana cost the taxpayer a staggering 97.4 million Ghana cedis, which again is an increase of 246% over the previous year's expenditure. The Bank of Ghana also dissipated another 8.6 million Ghana cedis on directors' remuneration alone. This represents about 87% increase over the previous year's expenditure. Directors' remuneration, 8.6 million Ghana cedis. If you are to compare this to the previous year, this represents 87% increase over the previous year. This simply means that Ghanaians were charged a mismanagement fee to deliver the collapse of the central bank. The Bank of Ghana further claimed to have spent a colossal 357.9 million Ghana cedis on banking supervision expenses for the year 2022 alone. The report further disclosed that the Bank of Ghana spent a whopping 67.9 million Ghana cedis on computers expenses alone, whilst communication expenses also amounted to 32 million Ghana cedis. Communication alone, just to meet the press, they spent 32 million Ghana cedis for 1 year, the year 2022. The report further disclosed that an undisclosed expense of 287.8 million Ghana cedis was paid. Undisclosed. They could not account for 287 million Ghana cedis. I beg to ask, is the central bank the Ministry of National Security? It's only the National Security that can announce an amount that is undisclosed. So an amount of 287.8 million Ghana cedis that they have failed to disclose to the auditors begs for certain questions. We also saw in the report that the Bank of Ghana indeed spent an amount of $2 million on gold watches alone. I don't know who they bought the watches for, whether it's for the governor and the deputies. $2 million only on watches. Perhaps the more troubling fact is that having brought the Bank of Ghana to this terrible financial state, the governor and his deputies have found it prudent and expedient to invest $250 million, representing almost 3 billion Ghana cedis on another head office building somewhere at Ridge. In our circumstances, this is the height of insensitivity in the management of the financing of a troubled country. A country that is in a major crisis. You have decided to award a contract worth $250 million, representing approximately 3 billion Ghana cedis for the purposes of getting yourself a new head office. We believe that this is insensitive and it is not right for the governor of the central bank to go into this expedition at this time. The Bank of Ghana's illegal printing of money is responsible for the depletion of Ghana's external reserve, which resulted in the unprecedented depreciation we saw in the year 2022, which obviously is the main cause of the hyperinflation of 54.something% we saw in the year 2022. It is important to state that the governor of the Bank of Ghana breached Section 37 of the Bank of Ghana Act 2012, Act 612, and Section 60 of the Bank of Ghana Amendment Act 2016, Act 918. In fact, the governor breached the laws of the central bank, which calls for urgent action against the governor of the central bank. An estimated 850,000 people were further reported by the World Bank recently that this singular act of the Bank of Ghana has pushed them down the poverty line as a result of the hyperinflation that the central bank caused in the year 2022. Clearly, there's blood on the hands of the governor of the central bank and his deputies. It is now obvious that many more members of the Akufo-Addo, Dr. Bawumia government will likely be keeping several more millions of dollars in their bedrooms and building a war chest to illegally buy electoral votes at both party primaries and the upcoming general elections in the year 2024. We will not be surprised that if members of the economic management team involved in this contest makes a strong showing, I won't be surprised at all, because clearly everything shows that maybe it's not only Madam Cecilia Dapa who has kept some money in her bedrooms. We in the NDC will continue to explore ways of rescuing this country to prevent it from the doom that has befallen several West African countries. Ladies and gentlemen, the IMF had made an offer to assist the government to develop a plan for recapitalization of the central bank. And that is why paragraph 18 of Ghana's Memorandum of Economic and Financial Policy, the MEFP, sent to IMF, stated this fact. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen of the media, fellow countrymen and women, let me assure you that very soon Ghanaians will be made to pay for Bank of Ghana recapitalization levy, a tax to recapitalize the Bank of Ghana. So as we speak, because the central bank has collapsed virtually. It is, however, our position that we have so recklessly, the government of Ghana has so recklessly mismanaged the central bank and brought it to its knees and cannot remain at the helm of affairs of the bank without being held accountable. Those who have led this reckless and criminal conduct unleashed economic hardship and financial distress on the suffering people of Ghana must be held accountable on this particular action. In fact, impunity of the highest order can no longer be tolerated by the suffering masses of Ghanaians. We must not allow this dangerous precedent to be set for future leaders. In this regard, we in the NDC call for the resignation, immediate resignation of the governor of the central bank and his deputies within 21 days from today. We are resolved to embark on popular action to occupy the central bank and drive out the team of inept, callous, and criminally minded mismanagers of our finances to save the Bank of Ghana. What we will do is that the march will ensure accountability. Colleagues, the march to ensure accountability will begin in 21 days if the governor of the Bank of Ghana does not do the needful and pack bag and baggages out of that sacred institution that he has unfortunately mismanaged. Dr. Ernest Addison and his deputies must go. There has to be an end to this impunity now. Fellow countrymen and women, let us arise and save the Bank of Ghana. This is the only bank we have that belongs to us directly. The central bank has a big role to play. We cannot allow the Bank of Ghana to be managed and be drawn to this level. We call on all of you that if the governor fails to act by resigning, you join us to march to occupy the Bank of Ghana in 21 days' time, to force him out and to force his deputies out, because we cannot allow this to continue. Arise for Ghana. Fellow countrymen and women, arise for Ghana. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Okay, so before we do our usual tree presentation, we will take questions. Please, I know some of you just came. Let's restrict the movement. We are not done. There are very important issues to still discuss. So if you have a question here and you're a media man, only media men can ask questions. Just raise up your hand. You tell us your name, your media organization, and you keep your question very crisp. Let me start with you, my brother. Hold on. Let's have the spare microphone for that. So, leader, just take down the questions. How many questions, by the way, do we have? One here, only two? Two. Okay. All right.
Right. My name is Eric Mawenegbeta with TV3. So my question is to the minority leader. Is it the case that in 21 days, that's when some action can be taken? I ask this question in relation to previous engagement with the Bank of Ghana. The now ranking on the Finance Committee has had cause to raise concerns as to how the central bank governor has not honored invitations by Parliament over certain matters. And so is it because of that that you're resorting to a march instead of other pressing areas where you can demand accountability? And then lastly, on one of the reasons why the Bank of Ghana itself has explained why we are here has to do with the printing of money, as has been suggested by Dr. Atuforsen. What has the minority done? It's a critical question that's been asked because clearly you say the Bank of Ghana has violated the country's laws and yet nothing has been done in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Kweku Asante, Joy FM. Some of the allegations against the Bank of Ghana governor borders on breach of law and even criminality. But from marching to the BOG head office to demand that he resigns, what measures will they take in Parliament to ensure accountability, either to get him to answer specifically if there are criminal questions to answer, and specifically when it comes to the breaches of the law, what are the consequences spelled out? Thanks.
All right, is that all? Okay, so the minority leader will deal with these questions, after which we will do the tree presentation. Thank you.
So let me start with the last one. The issue of what we can do as parliamentarians. Yes, the governor has breached the law, and Section 30 and Section 60 of the Bank of Ghana Amendment Act is clear on this matter. He can only print to support government expenditure using 5% of previous year's revenue as the benchmark. Unfortunately, the governor did 7.2% of GDP, representing about 30% of previous year's revenue. So he has not just breached it lightly, but you could see that he deliberately did this. What I can say is that it's only the Attorney General who has the power to prosecute someone who breaches the law. So it's not in the bosom of Parliament to prosecute. What we can only do as members of Parliament is to hold him before us. But unfortunately, the crime has been caused already. He has already destroyed our livelihood. In fact, the act, this singular act of printing 7.2% of GDP in 1 year in terms of revenue has pushed, according to the World Bank, 850,000 Ghanaians into the poverty line. It has not only done that. If you are to go further and drill down the numbers, you will notice that this singular act has also moved a number of Ghanaians from middle income to low income. And certain rich people have now become middle income. So the governor has messed us up big time. He has imposed an illegal inflation tax on the people. Inflation is a tax. It is an illegal tax because it does not have legislation. The governor has imposed an illegal inflation tax on the people of Ghana. That is why today when you go to the market, things that you used to buy it 1 cedi, the next day you go in and you will notice that you are buying it at 5 Ghana cedis. Clearly, this takes away your disposable income and push you further line the poverty line. This is what the governor has done. We can't continue to allow these things to happen. What we are seeking to do now is to secure our country. He should first leave the scene, because he has shown that he cannot stand firm for the people of Ghana. We've seen examples in other countries. We saw what Bernanke did in the United States. But what we are seeing here now is that we have seen a governor who has turned himself into a printer. He now owns a printing press. All what he does is to print money. We can't stand that. So we are asking him to leave, and he should leave now. And when he leaves, eventually we'll get a good governor. First of all, the first thing we are seeking to do now is to get him to stop the printing. Stop what he's doing and then bring someone in and let that person be aware that that predecessor lost his job because he failed to adhere to the Bank of Ghana Act, and that is the reason why we are letting him go. And finally, on the issue of what we have done, why we are calling on the governor, I don't think there's nothing else we can do. Simple put, the governor must go. We have stated here today that we have given him 21 days as the main opposition party for him to pack his bags and leave that secret place called Bank of Ghana. He should leave. 21 days because we think as a governor he will need at least 3 weeks to hand over properly. So we are being charitable. We've given him 21 days. He should immediately pack his bag, write his handing over, and leave the central bank. If he fails to leave the central bank, we are urging you all, the media, fellow countrymen and women, NDC, even MPP, they should join us. Let us occupy the central bank and ask the governor to leave the scene, because he can't continue staying there. He has shown that he's incompetent, he doesn't care about livelihoods. Clearly, he has failed on the constitutional mandate of price stability. He single-handedly, working with his deputies, has run the central bank down. As if that is not enough, knowing that the central bank has collapsed, he has further gone out there to decide that he's going to build head office worth 3 billion Ghana cedis, 250 million US dollars at this critical time. So clearly, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. We all know what he has done. We saw how he has mismanaged our resources. Bank of Ghana's resources. I don't think he will manage his business the way he has managed. So, our friends from the media, it's clear that the central bank governor must go, and he will have to go now. 21 days start taking today. He should go. So help us in counting. In fact, Sami, you have to assist us to do the countdown. We have to count down when the governor must go, and he must go now. Thank you.
Yes, before we do the tree presentation, let me acknowledge the presence of the Member of Parliament for North Tonk, Ranking Member for Foreign Affairs, also Ranking Member for Scandals. The son of man, Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa, is here. And we have the Member of Parliament for Adaklu, our Minority Chief Whip, Honorable Kwame Abuja, is also here. Our former Director of Elections, former Deputy General Secretary, former Minister of Sports, Honorable Elvis Friankra, is also here with us. With regards to what would the MPs do if the Bank of Ghana fails to resign, I would just want our Minority Whip, who is in charge of whipping the entire Minority Caucus, to just say a word or two about that before we proceed.
Yes, thank you, Sami. And I think leader's position is quite clear. The Bank of Ghana is in crisis. It's self-inflicted. And this is orchestrated by President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia's government. When they fail to manage the economy, they basically turn the Bank of Ghana into a printing press, printing more money. The responsibility to prosecute the Bank of Ghana governor and anybody hold accountable is the Attorney General. But which of you here believes that Godfrey Dami is going to prosecute any member of President Akufo-Addo's government? It's not going to happen. But I can assure you that apart from the fact that the governor fears appearing before Parliament, in fact, he doesn't even like appearing before the Finance Committee of Parliament. He thinks he's only accountable to President Akufo-Addo. And the last time we needed to remind him that even the Finance Minister, upon all his escapades, is forced sometimes to appear before Parliament. So if the Finance Minister is bigger than you, how dare you not be able to appear before Parliament? Let him understand he is accountable to Parliament. And the 21 days is a long grace period. Which of you will believe that a Bank of Ghana in this level of crisis, self-inflicted, will be building a $250 million new headquarters? In fact, those of you who know Ridge Hospital, when President Mahama had the opportunity to lead this country, he built Ridge Hospital that you and I can use today. Right opposite of that hospital on the right-hand side is Bank of Ghana new headquarters. As if something is wrong with the old headquarters. You are broke. You have actually collapsed the economy. The next thing you do is to award a $250 million project. And guess what? That project is one of the fastest going projects in this country. Not hospital projects, not education projects, not road project. The fastest going project in this country is the construction of Bank of Ghana. So how can you tell us that the country is broke when the headquarters of Bank of Ghana is going on at a speed of light? It means that this is deliberate. What will we do after the 21 days? They shouldn't try us. We have options, like we always say. Our options are in our head. They should not try it, because we are capable of deploying options that will get him out of office by force if he refuses to go within the 21 days. And we are telling him he should not dare us, because we have the capability of driving him out of the office with your support. Thank you very much.
You've heard the Bank of Ghana blame their financial woes and the collapse of the central bank on the ongoing debt exchange program. The minority leader has something small to say about that, so take note.
I mean, you're right. The governor in his address had said that as for him, he's done everything right, and we should blame it on Ken Ofori-Atta and Dr. Bawumia for asking him to write government debt of about 48 billion off. Clearly, the Bank of Ghana in the year 2022 made a loss of 60 billion. Of this 60 billion, they wrote off about 48 billion, isn't it? So it tells you that even without the write-off, the governor the actions of the governor and his actions has actually collapsed the central bank ahead of the domestic debt exchange. So if you take 48 million from 60 billion, you still have about 12 billion. As we speak, it means that they don't have any surplus, any money there. He's building a head office at the cost of $250 million. This simply means that he's printing additional money to finance the construction of the new head office. So this guy will not stop. We need to secure our country. This is our motherland. We have no other country. We have to get this man out. Let us get a new governor, and let that governor come in and learn that the predecessor was pushed out for ABCD, so he will not go there. If we are not careful and we are to allow this governor to stay in the office, what will happen is that we will set bad precedent for future managers to do same and to destroy our livelihood. He has depleted Ghana's reserve to about 1 week of import cover. The finance minister informed us that even with the IMF money, additional drawdown from the IMF, by the end of the year, Ghana's net international reserve will be about 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Is this the governor we want to keep in office? He has messed us up so much that we cannot wait to see his back. 21 days time, we say bye-bye to the governor.
All right. Thank you. So, at this stage, we'll just do a quick summary of the presentation of our speaker in Twi. This is also very important, so we just crave your indulgence to keep your cameras in position. Please remain seated. Abusuafo ayeshia wa ha te se de de to monim no ene ye frame wa Bank of Ghana ehun komo ene ye pese ye nimudi te se de munyina munim no afi etwa mu 2022 Bank of Ghana sika sem de ejina de ye frame no annual report and financial statements no Bank of Ghana auditors for years and review ni nyina wie e de won krata ababonten na de wom ne ne ya frame se ye ne mo bedi hu komo na magana fo nyina hu Bank of Ghana gina bre na ebia na ebinum nim si ye ka Bank of Ghana eye adwuma yoku a omadwuma hu hia magana ye pa isan se ye nyina ye wo ye banks obi bank Eco Bank ehon no save ni sika obi bank ya Ghana Commercial Bank ehon no save ni sika o bank na hwe wo sika so na wo kire wo na opebesia wo bank ho na wokọ Ghana as on my ye bank ye banker any Bank of Ghana enu nti se Ghana wa ho kire mu a ye bank ho na ye betumi akọ which is the Bank of Ghana the atosu biom so no sa Bank of Ghana yi eno na banks ahodo e wo Ghana nyina hye na se enti bank bia e wo Ghana bia so bank e Bank of Ghana banks e wo Ghana ye de sika atoto no mu nyina so sika e wo Bank of Ghana for nchen enti bank bia no n'adwuma wo ye bia no Bank of Ghana na hwe so se omo be fa mra kwan so aye omo adwuma yie na se bank bi so kwa ho kire ne ahụ yehie mu a omu ni beebi akose Bank of Ghana na omo be kọ akwa enu nti NDC emra na yewura president Mahama wo akonwa so no ye de ebetumi aye bia se Bank of Ghana benya ahode na ejina brane enu nti ye fra akonwa so 2016 Bank of Ghana for omo bu omo nkonta na omo nya mfaso about $700 million omo amoka under President Mahama omo nya mfaso in 2016 na enam President Mahama ne Bank of Ghana mpenyinfo samre no Dr. Nasiru Dr. Siamanom omunyuma pantino Bank of Ghana nya sika credit mi di si ayaresa bia kese ena okọ cantonment a ye wo Bank of Ghana Hospital emra fofi antoata yarebọ ni coronavirus ebeto ye so ani yenya baabi mfa no eye sa Bank of Ghana yi a the nation builder Yewura Mahama ne Bank of Ghana for see ye no ene boa wo man no in fact ye share Bank of Ghana sika sem yie mo ye omadwuma kama samre no Yewura to force ya mote na no kasa enche bia no ono na esi NDC amanyokuo ene aban na nam e wo Bank of Ghana board so no moto to nyema yie ma 2016 enyuma pa bebreba mampanyi Mahama aban ye nyina no ya nye besia kapre not even one cedi or one peso from the Bank of Ghana. Bank of Ghana ntwe sika 1 cedi amaye eno ne yefra no zero financing from the central bank na chese yefra konwa so no na Bank of Ghana no ejina ne nanso ehie na we na yekoto aba wie ya yenkonkwoti a omampanya Kufuado ne na bedi eche ba womi ase empenyimfo a Yewura Mahama pa wo mo omutumi siesie Bank of Ghana sei no eye enyuma pa we nyina no MPP for the so mutumi ne omunya adwuma enti mo be kai omo tata Dr. Nasiru even though the governor and his deputies have security of tenure no omo tata omo ka so mutumi ne omunya adwuma e mo resign ye no munim di omo pese omo ye no munim sikadi a omo pese omo ye enti e wo se ye de mpenyimfo a omo betumi aboa masa sikadi na koso no de kotena ho enti omo ye sa nyuma pama Bank of Ghana fa no ntuma pa fira ye nyina no monko yentimi ni munya adwuma ena omo koye enei akwa wie sen afi atwa mi so ohwe Bank of Ghana enye ma omo ye ne omo sika sembe bi egina Bank of Ghana no ene agu de enti agu ne se ene Bank of Ghana eye Ghana bandia government of Ghana is the sole shareholder na aban e wo se aban no as the sole shareholder ni nya japade a ebetumi aso bank ni mu no ene yesika ne ye japade nyina asa ama eka ye de no ye 55.1 billion eno ne negative equity a Yewura ato forcing aka ho asem 55.1 billion de atosu biem bank no nyuma omudi no 2022 no so sese 2016 President Mahama Abreto munya mfaso $700 million Ghana cedis enei 2022 omaboka 60 billion Ghana cedis so what they call old Ghana cedis are more than 6 quadrillion asem ne yeken in dollars ebru $6 billion chese sika yerehwe free IMF wo entia aban ese omo a wode wonka wontua oye debt restructuring pensioners for esu because aban se won sika e won nche wontua taxes ahodo aban dia begu ye so all the conditionalities ye tun kenia buom ye tun suo buom ne de keka ho ni nyina no sa enyema ye nyina sika ye de pay $3 billion per but within 1 year Bank of Ghana bought car a chain of times 2. Na obi be bisa say dia entina yadru sa baby yadru yi. Eno na ye wura fe atofo se a kyerem say de di kan emra aban we ese Ghana sika sem nyina turu bosia bebrebe a omobo eni sikadie basa omoye since 2017 no. Na Ghana ya ye bankrupt ye ni sika ye de betu ayenka ye ni sika ye de beye bibia. And unti a bank or omo bankers or which is the central bank say omu ntwe sika emfa ma wo mo na kan no na nya bone ye Bank of Ghana Act na ya no section 30 Emma Bank of Ghana ho kwan say sa bank ko a ho kire mu saa omo na ya bank bankers omu tumi twa sika de boa wo mo na emom sika na amu twa no eni se eboro ohamu nchiche mu enum 5% of a buying sika wonya ye nyina the year before. So you cannot exceed 5% of the total revenue of the previous fiscal year. Because the sika no one ye na utwa boro so bebre a ebe ye cost 90 work say the amrante ne ka no. Because obi a wonim sika sem bia be ka cho say Bank of Ghana twa sika bebre sa ema ade a ye fa no inflation nyema bo kosoro 10 na eno so eba ne sa itua oka as adwumayeni a usika no esu ni emfaso bia because ade a na sika ni timi ye no entumi nye biem. It will totally erode incomes na ede ahokyira ba enti parliament eye mransa no mo ye no se aban kwa ahokyire mu a wo betumi abo aban as Bank of Ghana be sika na wo twa no fanyansa to ho entwa moro 5% sebi na se o boro sa 5% ne so a governor no entwe krata nkobo Ministry of Finance amane no nkobo Ghana ya nam sifu a wo mrahye bedwam amane se sika aban pese yetwa ma omo no ya do 5% of the total revenue of the previous year enunti monkyere de yenye but 2021 te said de ye wura to force kan no Bank of Ghana twa sika e ma aban we 35 billion cedis titi sika no 3.5 trillion and ye printing ne sesa de maban but we mu a sika dodo e wasa nko mutwa maban ne ke ni se ebro 2.8 billion because not 2020 the year before no mine sika ye nyina the friend total revenue no e 55 billion into 5% ni se ke ebro 2.8 billion now they come on 5 billion bi e pre ko 35 billion yan cash intino no muni se Ghana for the omu rebe fintino 2022 omo so mo be more and ono so mu twa 45 billion and also what is here total revenue for 2021 no na ye 76 billion intino se ko mu twa sika kura ma ne bro 4 billion and also so a omo twa 45 billion omo twa sika ma owura bawomia kendo foria to mampenye kufu ado ne MPP fuo ewie ya hu de omodi sika ye ni okurum ha afei omako Bank of Ghana for ho so sika na mutwa man na ye ka bone ye ntimi ntua ko Bank of Ghana twa sika ma wo a e say de bank ama abosi ye ka e wo se wutua na say sika no bank ni timi nya na ade aban so ntimi ntua enti sika ni mu 48.4 billion Bank of Ghana say o ya na etwa ma mo ye de achemo na buzi ma sika no mutwa na nya Ghana fo sika no mudi twae so we trust sika wo paper ink security features I can nyina no na say aye kwa abo men de omudi sika ne ye nyina so aye kwa enti sika no simply put omudi sika no omuntu minya entua sika ne nyina ahye na sadie wei na NDC amanyuko ye kase eye asem we ye very serious am say Ghana fo be bradwen ko so because eno na ma ho kira ba Ghana no last year asem we ya mpomponso anyama bo ko inflation rate ko so akodu 54.1%. Ya no ma ye mbabu no aye wo ye 30 si ye hu bibi sa da die nti na ba sa e because say Bank of Ghana no ko so twa sika sa enti na woji usika wo kodwomu a entimi ntɔhwe na ye ho akire ye no ase no we na ama na basa na we sika ye twa ma omo a in just 2 years President Mahama betena konwa so 4 years bosia wo bo ye nyina ni mpuntu a wo ye nyina sika ode ye ni 4 years enuru sika ye twa ma bank of Ghana twa ma ban we in 2 years enuru but omudo mo twa abro edi abusuafo de ye ka gina nza sa de we tia Ghana fo mra obroni se eye criminal obia se enkohwe section 67 of Bank of Ghana Act esese ubu emre bia ewo Bank of Ghana mra ni mu a wa commit criminal offense na yedi wasem no ebuafo a we are liable to a fine of 500 penalty unit not exceeding 500 penalty unit and also betimi akoda afiase for at least or maximum 2 years. Enti ye radesen ne ne deputies Bank of Ghana board there omo ye jail bound because clearly no obi a won nkosu amra kora ni said your maye no oma bo man ne kro no oma di o man na wu oma tieti o man ne mra so and this constitutes a crime. Na o ka omo so COVID-19 ba na emergency ntina omo yesa eno so enya no kre because mra no mrahye bedwafo ye no omu say emergency bi betumi aba enti omo di shemu subsection 6 of section 30 of the Bank of Ghana Act say mpo emergency bi ba na ban hia say Bank of Ghana fo betwa sika bibira ma omo a eboro 5% no so a Bank of Ghana finance minister omo transfer omo set new ceiling no omo kobo parliament for amane manye bibia asa into wuntumi use COVID and any so-called emergency as the excuse. Now we can Bank of Ghana for normal issue statement 4 pages ten almost enya hwe na okwa amama bi so a almost central banks aboka abusuafo sa amama ya omobobo odi no mo hwe omo statement ro mu nyina ya amama ya omo sikasem ejina ne na so these are industrialized countries and as amama no emumu bia ni wo matietia omo central bank emra so a commit crimes said they are buying we aye enti sa asem ne de emamu kra because ade na amaye no e de ahokyera ba ene nipa bebre ebre because of that na bra na be chirechirem ana resign ya wo ba be justify by engaging in equalization dia na chese uni obu kra magana for na abusuafo me de ma no si ne de ehu wa asem ni mu ne se senka banks e wo Ghana ibi ena o matietia Bank of Ghana Act so ena o maboka 60 billion anka Bank of Ghana o ma bank na tena ko mungu no wo Bank of Ghana wo na wo e wo se wo hwese banks e wo Ghana nyina no o mo be comply with emra e hwe banking sector so the Bank of Ghana Act and the Specialized Deposit Taking Act ne de keka Bank of Ghana muna wo se muna mukita ba mo hwese bank bia be di mra no so na wo bu mra no so wo be na akorrect obi a wo bu mra so he said what moral authority na Bank of Ghana wo so wo betumi aka se ogu bank bi ni nyina no eni wo biem na busuafo de ehu ni se emra Bank of Ghana mpanyimfo hu se yewura bawomia ne MPP aban mu mpanyimfo kedofori ata ne yakufo adomo edidi omo ho no omo so yese sika no omo so bedibi enti yakoye edibi ma minibi because omo so ye twa sika ne ma aban ko na edi ekai kura so omo ntua ebeye bad debt ne writing it off enti yaso de ne ebeye enti omo fra bibi operational expenses ewa na omo start say o ene yeso yebefa nyansa kwan bi so ne yedisika. And do correct 2020 annual report and financial statement in one. Bank of Ghana for say last year for Ghana for muntie. Omo kasa ehun to chima a omo de call fita for so omo nya hu adwuma car maintenance nko a 131 million cedis. Tetisika no 1.3 trillion. And omo de ma fita for omo di sisi omo car. Just say yes san oil. Ye change bibibi ase ye to chat ties 1.3 trillion areho enya no nko a omo se sika nko a chese omo so sua omampenye kufuado ene ne dividend ni bi na meka no go omampenye utwa sika ma no a de na ode chata wiem hyen enti Bank of Ghana for no so omo so betu kwan enti akwanto omo tu kwa ma no ne didi omo tu no Ghana de omo fa African world dia ye nyina ye fa ibi ene e ba ku ye ka hwen passion. So domestic travels. And they according to Omutukwa Bruchri last year almost 97.4 million cedis. Titisikano 974 billion and Omuditu Kwai. Dibamindi Binina Michemuno. Almost your friend be computer expenses. Ye nima de cro. Almost computer ye. Na buja boss I talk computers and mako 1 million kra. A car bank of Ghana for so my bono. Enya dia ebetumi abanesa. Almost the computer expenses in Kwano 67 million cedis. Titisikano 670 billion old Ghana cedis. Enya nonko almost a month and 12 for munimu dinkita ho. It is a more crane be anesi kani bi abamo. Your fellow communication expenses. Communication expenses. And also so almost a whole kalasia in Kwao. 32 million cedis sikano. Titisikano 320 billion omuditu asole. Yes, yeah, the communications, with my communications will come without in some job for. Enti any presem kese na de huni company bia emu mpanyu for dream company ne ho no. Se company ne ko awonyehia ne awokyere mu a mpanyu for no dream company ne huni to mo tie o makatua so. Because company ni sika sama yeden asai. Enti obu nyina tete o makatua so. We di anya ya no Philip Addison ene ni mpanyufo. Bank of Ghana egu omo boka mo no. Omo se ebeto ya katuam. Enti omo nko last year directors no board directors ne kekewu. Omo di sika omo di tua omo kano omo akeka bom. Ekosi 8.6 million cedis. Titi sika no 86 billion. And what they no compare 2021 akatu omo je ya. Into munu increment no is 68%. In 1 year, omo salary mu 68%. Ghana jumayeni be na 1 year yato na ketuam 68%. E just say dibi ma me ni bi aban ni di nti ma me so menya den me ni bi. Why na be kwa akoka. Na ye ka ni say no, obi so NDC for kra mo pekasa. Emfa me ho, efa ho. Because e ka na ba beto no. Why na betua? Eno na ye rato force ya kire mu no. Ye ene ye betua. This are buying this one the 2 bi beba. Ye ba betua sika se Bank of Ghana agu nti ye ntuatua to ne yenjeje ne yemfa nkoso masen. Na why na di sika na ama Bank of Ghana agu no. Aban ba kwa mo ba ye de mo de mo nsa beka bia na masen no. Ene Cocoa Board magu no. Ene Senate ya gu no. PBC magu no. D-Hawk magu no. GMPC magu no. Bank of Ghana omu twasika Bank of Ghana omu twasika so ene magu no. Enti menu mienu already ye so fat your ma ye no hunsunsuanso because ade se nyina no inflation kosoro ti kodwomu a ene Gino rice okoto 5 kg bag almost 200 Ghana. Oh dokuro boa e kosoro emo boa e kosoro abro bag boa e kosoro ni nyina ye sika na o matwa abu system ni mu a ena o masanso convert ya dollars no mo di ahehye o mo pass. So efa ye ho enenu nti Ghana fo ene ye ne anidaso bi ase NDC mra hye bedwafo a omo ye donkuma wo mra hye bedwam omo na omutimi gina konkodema Ghana ye mo ye nsema members of parliament for the NDC and omo panyimpa de atudwa se yewura Addison omamma no enna adronu ba ko 21 days na wotwe miensa one ne deputies ni nyina omo starting try omo resignation letter omo handing over bia wo so mo ye bia wo so mo ye na omo nko na afoforo mra omo yes ne saa ebi omo beti ye nka biem na ye 2025 a president Mahama ba be di akonwa afi de ye frɛ omo se omo meyi omo ho ano e wo mra na omo tietia so because I know de e beba so dole obi ani wo obro mra so it is a Bank of Ghana Act say won't be ntwa sika amro 5% of total revenue of the previous year na wa ye ne saa de a and yet you must answer for that. But animanimu ya no so omo koso tena ho a and yet ye be wie 2023 e wie 2024 no ahwe omo be ka se car maintenance nko an omo de be 1 billion Ghana cedis na ye because of her trajectory na kwa no mo expenses na ekosoro sikadie no kwa na ye den ekosoro 2021 almost printed 35 billion. 2022 45 billion. In 2023 nkofo ya nko no mo to on be print sen. I have 100 billion. Then say on mine no ebebo. Enu nti minority chief whip so akabi ato so say o maka no o mo behwe say obe resign. Na one resign here. So omo friend na was your ma because o mu nipa bia. Na wo na watwa sika nya sika tamsi a nka mrache bedwafo frɛ wa aka abekɔ. But omo so wa ma omo betoa no wo ne office wo. Na wo be make sure say obe resign. Ebusuafo de atwa to ni. And the Bank of Ghana agu e kam in the bank no. Sika o matwa ma aban so ntumi ntua. Bank ni sika kakra so a ye di no basa ma kyerɛkyerɛm. Honorable Atoforsen de ho facts nyina maye. Na de atwa ya wom e wo se Ghana fo nyina ye sorry gina. Ene adenwa anwa bi a Bank of Ghana fo so omo ye. Ene ya ye wa ho kyerɛ ne ahoyehia mu a economy na crash. Pensioners for omo makọ omo ahomedie mu omo ahomedie sika aban kra pese ode ne nsa to so omo de omo sika abo aban besi aban si ontua e ka mene Ghana obi aso omo ye besia ukodwomu a ene woton wa ye nto nipa bre adwuma ni ho. There is a freeze on public sector employment as we speak. Mabunu hu de omo be ye sika kakra na Bank of Ghana fo betumi atwa me ye de aye bibi papa so a almost omo de kwa akosi head office foforo omo kosi abronsan atoato so aye ni nyina hwehwe dan foforo akwa akotenem mo Bank of Ghana dan abusuafo ye nyina so ye hu chima ben na wo ho edan ya motimu amo ye adwuma no na modidi sikei problem bi ani ho na eno krom na moti a mo se mo de 32 million cedis and your communication expenses according to sika nko a 97 million. Na dia mo kwotena dan mo no ni mu eno ye nhwehwe ne dia na mo be. That is a complete misplaced priority. The Bank of Ghana here ne nei enye new head office. Sika kakra na omo wo no e wo se e di siesie bank no. Na BBC a bank na tinya ye na dwuma. Bank bi kura kwa ho kire mu a Bank of Ghana tinya aboa no. Say banks in nyina mutie yewura to force in the debate on the floor media budget reviewer. Banks in nyina boka in the billions. Banks e wo Ghana nyina. Na wo Bank of Ghana na wo yo mo bank wo kwa wo chiro mo ba beboa no. Wo so wo boka kese sei. Wo nwe e no ho wo se wo kwa kwesi new head officer. E no de adabraka. Ye mpene so ne empene so china. Nti ye frame wa na de wo ho nyina no no. Ye da mo ase. Na ye hwe ni mu se owura no wan fa na dwuma nto a the entire 137 members of parliament supported by well-meaning patriots Ghana for yebeka omo ho ne anante akọ the offices of Bank of Ghana ne are making sure that we will occupy the Bank of Ghana anopa ekosi adeche we will occupy there until Addison de na dwuma beto because hadie we o ma bia ni we si wo mu a yede ho bechew. And in this Ghana for your so you bet now was yet now near ye ni high a hell more on the boat or mine cry. Yadam was it.